when people are like, you're too selfish,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're selfish enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sounds very weird, but like, you're not giving yourself the right attention.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Okay, do something, got me ghost bumping in the lot. You gon' prove something, or this dope, what you really taught. This the move, we gon' bring the crew up here to the spot. And I move, I don't wanna lose something that I got. Okay, late night with the boys, late night with the boys.
Welcome to the
8th.
7th?
No, this is 8th. Hey, I talked about the...
No way it's the 8th. No way it's the 8th.
8th.
Is it actually? Wait.
Yes. This is the 8th. Last one was the 7th. Because I remember we talked about, like, some people do 2 like that, and some people do 2 like that. So.
This is the 8th.
It's the 8th. An even number. Are even numbers lucky? 7th is supposed to be a lucky number. But
yeah.
8 is a lucky number too, right?
That's interesting.
Also,
I thought it was the 7th this whole time.
Yeah. There's lucky numbers are so weird, man. Like, it's so funny to me how like one culture will say, "Oh, these numbers are lucky," and then that exact same culture will be like, "No, those numbers are like bad luck, like terrible luck, like wishing family and wishing like plague and
like 13."
Yeah. You know, I don't know any cultures that consider 13 to be a lucky number, but definitely living in the U.S., a lot of people consider it an unlucky number.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, this is the 7th episode of the podcast.
8th.
If I'm being 100% 8th episode of the podcast. If I'm being 100% transparent, I thought that this was the 7th, and I wanted to end this podcast on 8 episodes. So this is the 8th episode. So I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll figure something out. Might be 9 episodes.
That's fine.
But that brings us to one of the main things that we want to make sure all of you know. We're going to have this episode, maybe one episode after, maybe not. We're figuring that out. And after that, we're going to complete the season of podcast episodes. And after the season, we're going to come back sometime later. We don't know when. For new episodes and a new season with new people.
So to elaborate, after that duration of time, that's when the season left out. And then we're probably going to leave a span of time to where we can forward some viewer questions and stuff like that. Definitely rack up some more life experience, and then come back, you know, stronger than ever with more ideas, with more conceptual stuff, and hopefully more community engagement. Obviously, we can't spoil all that we have planned, but we certainly have plans.
We do. We just had a call about it.
Yeah, you know what I'm hinting at.
I know what I'm hinting at.
The viewers will know eventually, hopefully. So that's very exciting. Yeah, some big stuff planned.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, how you doing? What's new?
Thank you for asking. I'm good. A little bit tired today. I don't know why specifically, but I'm a little bit like less energetic today. I've been putting a lot of effort into new stuff for my music and new stuff for our podcast. And I'm a little bit drained, but we're getting through it and we're figuring it out. And I don't always have to, one thing I realized is I don't always have to put on like kind of a facade that I'm super energetic or I'm super this. Yeah, I can push myself to clap at the beginning because that's our thing. But this is like, I'm dynamic. I'm not just one thing. So if this is how I'm feeling right now, let's let that flow, you know?
Yeah. And obviously, if you're kind of forcing that on yourself, don't you feel like it ends up being toxic to yourself sometimes if you're forcing yourself to have that energy, you know? It just feels kind of
it's a lack of self-respect, I think.
Yeah.
And often we do that to impress somebody, to figure out something related to that. But in the end, I don't know how helpful that is.
Yeah. The best part of it is like, it's just you and I. Obviously, I don't need to worry about putting that much of a facade, you know? Well, obviously the viewers too, but like, they're kind of taking a backseat in this, so to speak. Yeah.
And we're the creators at the end, right? So we have it's our control what we put out. Sorry, I'm adjusting that.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel that.
We have a lot of things to talk about today.
That's for sure.
And
Things
I
have
don't
been
know.
pretty good on my end as well. Hey, I hate to interrupt or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Did I ask you how you're doing? Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. It's all right.
How are you?
That's the flow. Yeah. Things have been pretty good on my end as well, and obviously, kind of same with the tiredness. But also very excited to be wrapping up things. A lot of things are being wrapped up, I can say, in my life in general. And it's nice to see a lot of things come to an end, and the next chapter is right on the horizon. So that's very cool. So you actually brought up a point that I think will allow us to segue very easily into our next, I guess, the topics of the actual podcast. You're talking about putting up a facade a little bit, and how sometimes you feel like when you force a smile on your face when you're really not feeling it, it's an act of disrespect towards not just you, but like sometimes towards other people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think reaps the most, or who do you think carries the burden the most? When you kind of force yourself into a facade, do you think that hurts other people more, or do you think it hurts yourself more? Because I think a lot of it might like hurt other people, but for the most part, a lot of it just kind of comes back to yourself. See what I'm saying? So I guess to elaborate on that, let's say I guess I'm interacting with some people, right? A group or whatever. And I'm really not feeling it, but I force myself to be really cheerful and it comes off as fake, you know? And so those people end up, I guess, feeling a little sussed out, I guess, or like suspicious of me or something like that. And I think that would end up, in that situation, it would end up hurting me. And so I feel like there's so many situations where when you put up a facade like that, it hurts other people, but it hurts you a lot more. A lot of it like comes back to bite you. So do you agree with that or not so much?
Yeah, it definitely depends on the people you're around, because some people are not in the position to handle honesty for a certain thing. So they'd rather have that cheerfulness. Some people are. And for those people, when you put on a facade, it's very annoying because they're like, why are you putting on a facade? But it's really hard. You have to first figure out what type of people you're around. There's some people like, they don't like you for who you are. Some people, they do like you for who you are. So figuring that out, honestly, in a perfect world, you shouldn't hang around people who don't like you. But sometimes we're in those situations where we have to. So managing that and figuring out what you're going to do depends on the type of person. And it's, I think, your job to analyze that and work in relation to that. A lot of people think that a lot of people just have their self-worth low and think, I'm not good enough, so I have to be someone else. And then they apply that logic to everyone, and then they come off fake. You know?
That's kind of crazy too. That kind of
I was definitely that way. That way.
That's interesting because it reminds me of how, you know, I guess they say somebody who cheats will assume that other people will cheat, and the same thing with somebody who's really faithful. They don't usually assume that in other people. So it's interesting how that kind of parallels that. You know, you kind of reflect the ideals of other people that you see on yourself. That's actually something
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And definitely.
Yeah.
With that logic, if your self-worth is high, you should kind of be an optimist with people.
Totally. I think I see that in you a lot. You seem to trust yourself a lot, and so with the people that actually that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because I have trust issues.
Yeah. Because you kind of have trust issues.
But I'm getting better at it, and I think I didn't trust myself either. So it does work. The logic does work, because I did have trust issues.
Yeah, I think it would apply more to your close friends than your like larger circle, because I feel like the people close to you are more like you in that regard. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Definitely.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
That's really interesting.
We see what we see in the world is based on, I think, the specimen we examine the most, which is ourselves, right? So that's probably where that correlation comes from. If you think the world is bad, then what are you exposed to the most whatever you're exposed to the most is what you're going to make your judgment based on. So if it's a terrible environment of growing up, then it could be that, or it could be just not liking yourself, and a lot of that going and projecting.
That's super true in like avoidant, distant sorts of relationships. there's like I'm really interested in a lot of like psychology stuff, and so they say if you have there's like an avoidant distant kind of like love style. So if you feel like your family or your parents weren't really there for you as you were growing up, you kind of expect that in your romantic partners and your friends. Like you feel like they could leave you at any time. And so that's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
And it's really
Yeah.
sad too, because I think it's kind of a repeating cycle. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
more you see that, the more it's like apparent.
The
You know,
more
the
you
more
try
you
to be the opposite too, I
Mhm.
think, depending on the person. You want to be what you never had.
That's true.
And that influences a lot of other things.
Mhm.
A lot of my music is the solution to what I would have wanted to listen to that I didn't have the chance to because I didn't hear enough of it. Right? The reason why I preach or I talk about self-love a lot with myself is because I don't feel like that's shown enough for males in our society at all. Like you have Beyonce, I think I've said this before. You have Beyonce singing, I'm a single lady, I'm a single lady. But what about if you're single and you're not a lady, right? What's going on there? Like
Mhm.
there's always like an idea of you have to be, you're kind of an L if you're not with this, or
Yeah.
if you don't have a partner, what if you're just not
Right.
in
There's
that
all sorts
position
of
in your life,
differing
right?
standards for people, and especially given like
And
the
then you
music.
can't show emotion, all this kind of stuff, all these weird expectations that people have,
Yeah.
like all these things that I don't hear enough people talking about. So I had to be that solution,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's it. A lot of your purpose comes from examining a problem that you faced that you didn't have,
Right.
you didn't see a solution to, so you had to create that solution for yourself.
Mhm. And you feel like it's kind of your moral obligation sometimes to bring that solution to other people. I get that so much, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean for it to go here, but like this is the best place it could have gone because I feel like I see that in myself so much. Like I pride being listened to. If you like drop it and listen to me for a second, I like
Mm-hmm.
my brain like it literally freaks out. It's like, are you listening to me to this degree? It's it's sometimes almost unsettling when people just drop it, you know,
You're
and
not
are
used to
able to
that
be
much attention.
like, yeah, and you can see the intention in their eyes that they're listening, you know, they're like all their focus is on that. It freaks me out sometimes. And I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
just amazing. I value it so much. I can't even explain how much I value it because it means
People,
so
yeah,
much.
people hear so much.
Yeah.
People hear so much, like people don't have much value for information
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
opinions and stuff. Because we're
Yeah.
in an age where it's everywhere. You can
Mhm.
find it
Yeah.
if you want it. So
Yeah.
for someone to actually listen to you and value your opinion, like it's something like treat it like something fresh,
Totally. It's so
with all the other
valuable.
information.
And actually I think that's the reason why I pride listening to people in that same regard. You know, I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of reasons why I've heard this a bit that I can be called intense is that when I listen, I really do my best at listening. You know, it's all that like
Yeah.
active eye contact, nodding, all that like
Mm-hmm.
important stuff that it's just I feel so good when I'm listened to that I want
You're
other
trying to
people
be
to
the
do.
person that you would have wanted to. You're trying to be the friend that you would have wanted. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's so crazy sometimes when you think about it. It's like it's almost like I wish I had another me. You ever get that?
Yes. Yes. Yes, man.
That's
All
so
the
crazy.
time. All the
Mhm.
time.
Man.
I always think about like what if I had two of me,
Mhm.
and like that would be hella cool. Like first of all, being able to confuse people. That always like cracks me up. If I just
Yeah.
come in, there's two of me, that'd be the funniest thing. And it's like people are walking by and there's just like two of me at a table talking to each other.
Mhm.
That'd be the coolest thing. It'd get boring, obviously. I wouldn't just
Yeah.
spend time with me, but like that by itself would be just kind of cool. I feel like
That's true. And
it'd
it's
be
just it's
interesting.
so interesting. I've actually thought about like clones too, and I think it would be just like having another person that's just like me to hang around. You're right. I think it would get boring, but I feel like it's just such an interesting thing to think about, you know, because like I would love to have a person with my exact skill level to play like cooperative games with, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would like talking to myself. I feel like I feel like I talk to myself on a daily basis. So maybe it wouldn't be that different having another like a physical me.
Yeah.
See what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's just people could see it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And you can like interact with yourself. Yeah. But that's pretty crazy though, how I feel a lot of the times your needs are kind of projected in that regard. And I feel like the same thing can be said for not just like your needs, but other aspects of yourself. Like I guess with me, I tend to assume a lot of people like don't get things sometimes because there's so many times where I don't understand that one thing, right? And I kind of
Yeah.
feel bad about that sometimes. I feel like sometimes people think that I might be like patronizing them when in fact I'm thinking, oh, if they're like me, then I'd be like super confused. I need really explicit
Yeah.
instruction,
I
you know?
get that too. I'm exactly the same in that manner. Like it's crazy because we're just trying to like we see that and we relate to that based on what we've went through. Even though obviously people have different circumstances, people have different life experience, and it's not always the same. But by using our judgment, we try to make a decision to help based on what we know.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because if I think about it a little bit more, I feel like there may have been times where I come off as patronizing also when if I'm thinking about other people being the same as I am, I get frustrated with myself when I don't get something, you know? And so I think the time that this is manifested the most is probably with my brother because I feel like sometimes I'll like try and illustrate something to him, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously make it sound patronizing when because I feel like he's kind of a smaller me that I interact with, you know? And so
Yeah.
that sense of like cloneness or the same thing that it's like that's what I would want to impart on a younger self. I would like to walk myself through all these things and
Yeah.
describe things really, really carefully. But also I'd be a little bit frustrated that I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand these things. So
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
feel like the same thing with your brother, actually? That's crazy.
Yeah, I do. I usually don't get into that. But it's interesting. Yeah, I do. It's like your empathy for other people can be misconstrued into
Mhm.
arrogance and pretentiousness when in reality you're just trying to be empathetic.
Mhm.
And it's like people think that you trying to help them is you attacking them. Because in a way it is, right?
Mhm.
In a way, when you're trying to change or change someone's habits or change someone in a way, you're attacking the old form that they were. When you
Yeah.
change, the old you died. The new you is alive. So
Yeah.
you're attacking the old you by even saying that change needs to be happening.
That's so true.
But we're constantly evolving and we can't get attached to a certain version of ourselves,
Mhm.
or at least try our best not to get
Oh
attached.
man, that's super crazy.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
think about this though. So actually, one thing I also wanted to touch on is you're going to be editing this, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
seeing a past version of yourself. Also,
Yes.
there are going to be times when we're in the future, a few years in the future, right? Yeah, you're waving to
Yeah.
your future self right there, right? It's like,
Yeah. I
hey,
mean,
hey, future self.
editing me.
And you're going to be seeing, like right now, this is kind of like we're freezing time right now. We're capturing this moment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
obviously in the future, we're going to be smarter and better people. Hopefully, I should hope so. But this is an older version of you that you might not like
Yeah.
as much. And so I get it a lot where I think so many people have this where you'll look back on old videos that you've had and you'll be like, I hate that past me. Like, why does my voice sound like
Yes.
that? Or why was I not like this at the time? Um, but the thing that I think I try to find pride in is that it's good that you cringe at yourself because you
Mm-hmm.
admit that you could have grown a lot more, you know? And I guess that the amount that you're hard on yourself, I guess, it kind of is equivalent to the drive that you have to get better, you know?
Well, I don't think it's that you admit, or at least from my perspective, it's not that you admit that you could have grown more. It's that you have grown.
Mhm.
It's the fact that that is not you now.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be too hard on our old selves, but as long as we're improving and spotting mistakes, as long as we're uncomfortable, we're doing things right. That's the thing about once we get attached, once we get comfortable, things start to skyrocket. And this exact idea is actually what I explore a lot in my music, a lot. The idea of recognizing your past self for what it is, even though it's not perfect, and understanding the place that your past self has in your life. Now, I did this two ways. One way, Lunch Table's most recent EP, where the whole EP is kind of like bringing back, these are lunch tables, just rapping with my friends. No professionalism, no labeled stuff, nothing crazy with it, but we're just having fun.
Yeah.
But this was a stage in my life that helped me take music seriously. And without this stage in my life, regardless of how cringy it is, right, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now. So I started from Lunch Tables. This is an EP recognizing that. That's recognizing my past. Then I got the Chill Bill 2 track on my first mixtape, or my first public mixtape, Kid Rohan 2, which shouts at you and stuff. Like that one, I sampled my first recorded song ever. And I basically say, this was not that great of a song, but I got to take it back to my roots. If I didn't make this, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right.
So it's all a matter of recognizing that your past may be very, very cringy.
Yeah.
Like your past may be very, very, very cringy. Right? But as long as you recognize that now and you're making strides to improve yourself, then it had a place.
Yeah, you've got to head up. Definitely. And like your past self is, like I said, it's definitely a building block to where you are now, right? You can't expect to go from 0 to 100, right, instantly. Right. Obviously, there are going to be spaces where you're going to be unhappy with yourself and unhappy with your growth. But the important part is finding pride in that you actually finished the journey. You know what I mean? Like
pride in the fact that you.
Yeah. And this actually relates back to
do something, that you did something.
Yeah. Yeah. This relates back to perfectionism, where when you start something and it's sometimes when you love the art form so much or whatever it is you're working on that you attack yourself so much when you make it, as you make it. Like, why can't I be like this artist that puts something out, right? Or like this DJ, or like this pottery artist, or whatever.
But that DJ didn't start with their work either.
Yeah, yeah, and that might be why you can attack yourself so much. Is that it's because you love yourself so much, because you want so much for yourself. You know, that's kind of crazy. How like. Sometimes you can be your own toxic lover.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like the reason why you want so much for yourself is that you're so hard on yourself. And like it also relates to your parents too sometimes.
Yeah, you know your parents can be hard on you.
For you that they like stack you
up. That's
up
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. That's so why I never really thought about that, you know? Like
you just treat things get better when you treat yourself like you treat someone else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like people are always like, you give too much to yourself, you should share. Like that's what the treat other people the way you treat yourself motto comes. But sometimes I feel like it's the reverse, you know? You give other people a lot, but you don't give yourself that much.
Yeah.
So people need to push the other way, you know? And figure out that they need to give themselves more attention, more respect, more care.
Yeah, that's true. And I think
listen to themselves more.
There's like selfishness, and the ideas of selfishness have changed quite a bit. You know, I feel like I think now, honestly, selfishness is I guess, like besides like forget like politics and people in power and stuff like that, but selfishness like as an individual, as just somebody who's working, as you know, somebody who's being an adult 24/7, that selfishness is okay. You know, it's that you need to take care of your own needs because you're the only person who's going to be able to do that, you know?
Yeah, there's some people who that's interesting, because I always feel like egotistical people are secretly insecure and narcissistic people are secretly insecure, right? Yeah. So when people are like, you're too selfish, I don't think you're selfish enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sounds very weird, but like, you're not giving yourself the right attention. Yeah,
you're right about that, that you end up not giving yourself what you really need. you know? You end up focusing on things like attention instead of just, you know, relaxing yourself or like nourishing your body, giving yourself water and stuff like that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So what in reality, I feel like people need to be more selfish in a way, but
More selfish in the right ways. More selfish when
right
it comes
ways.
to managing one's own resources and, you know, nourishing the body.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad for me to think that like sometimes when people get in relationships, they end up kind of treating that other person as better than themselves. You know what I mean? Because they need kind of someone to, I guess, simp to. Like, I hate to use the term, but like,
yeah, but that's
they end up
because
using-
what do they want?
I guess
Let's be real. What do they want?
Yeah. They want to feel like they're giving, you know, to someone. I guess that's why simps exist. You know, it feels good to give a part of yourself and to support someone, right? But it feels so much better when that person is you sometimes.
I feel like it's more simple than that. Like, I think just simps just want sex. Period. Like, I think it's just that. If I'm being real, like,
really, I feel like you can't be that deluded. You can't be that deluded to think that like this person is definitely
well, the idea of them wanting that is also preconceived into a different notion of what they view that as, which in the end goes into them wanting to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
But surface level, right? It's sex, right? But if you go into the depth of it, they view it as a way to feel accepted. They want to feel okay. I'm generalizing, but just hear me out.
I feel like you and I differ on that. I'll be honest.
We could, but it's like, look, I've been a simp, so I'm speaking from experience. So like it's like wanting to feel accepted, wanting to feel like you're worth it for a partner, you know? Some people no, but you are definitely you are definitely right, I think, in another way. But based on my experience, I think it's just that. It's a lack of self-awareness. And a lack of self-awareness that pushes you to do things that you really don't want to do. And you really
I think the way I see it is that if you're simping for someone, there's a lot of power in like giving up that much stuff, you know? And so I actually don't think a lot of simps are thinking about that, you know, like a favor like that, like getting sex or something like that. I don't think they're that deluded, honestly. I feel like it's just you feel more power. Like, do you know what findom is? Financial domination?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, findom. Yeah, that's a thing. And so I think the reason why people like that is that it feels good when you're able to take care of someone, right? You feel like,
but it's different.
Well, hold on, think about it though. Like if I guess a smaller example of that would be like treating somebody out to dinner or something like that. Like they don't need to worry about it, right? And it's that secondhand feeling of not worrying about it that's what's enjoyed. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's simping, though. I understand what you're saying. That's a
different
type of
it is on a larger scale, though. You're trying to give, like, you're basically giving, like, I don't know, say 90% of your budget to somebody.
I don't think that's what simps do, though. That is what some people do, and they have that feeling. But I think it's different than simps, you know? But maybe there's different meanings. Like, I don't know. But, like, idea of wanting to provide for someone is something that I think is completely acceptable, you know? That's something that a lot of people do even in marriages, wanting to be the provider, you know? Because they might have not
providing too much, you know what I mean? That's like not providing for yourself enough, like at all, you know?
I think it's a different type of person.
I think
that's a different type of issue.
Yeah.
Like these people are not really not necessarily romantic relationship wise. They're in general people who have this low self-worth and feel like they need to kind of give to other people to make it up, which is a different issue, I think.
Yeah, giving to like a better person almost to feel like you're, I don't know, advancing the human cause. I don't know, man. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like though, simpship comes when it's like the percentage of other person is more than you. You need to be investing more in yourself than in other people, to keep it sustainable.
Or just keep that balance, and that's what a lot of relationships struggle with even to
and they
this
say
day.
there's this like
That's just an issue
30-60
in
rule
relationships.
that you're supposed to give, I guess, 60% of your energy to somebody and expect 30% back at you, and then you keep 40% for yourself in reserve. That's what they say. Yeah, that's
a little blue face thing. Ooh, but like, yeah, that's actually interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. And so I think the point at which it becomes, I guess, simping or like putting it in somebody else's hands is when that percentage becomes like 90%.
It's just you're in debt, basically. You're in debt of emotion. Just think of your emotion. Think of your energy like money, right? You don't want to spend it all.
Right. Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to invest it.
Yeah.
In friends, in your passion.
You need to invest it in safe investments. Ones that will give you.
Are just people who spend their energy.
Yeah.
Or not. Wait. Now I'm confused.
No. You went back to energy, but it's still the same thing.
No, but maybe not Sims, but
yeah. If you end up spending like way too much on somebody else, like that's like a risky investment. Will it pay off? Probably not. But if it does, it'll feel really good for you, right? And that's kind of that's dumb.
Yeah. Very good for a temporary amount of time, though, and then you just continue.
Yeah, and only for a temporary
energy.
time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I had like some other.
That's crazy. I'm learning so much through this podcast.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in here, man.
Yeah.
We're getting to spicy topics.
This is spicy time. Nice fan. It's very much an orb fan. Be like. I wish we had like some clippers. I love 21st century humor. I wish that we were able to like clip and make it just like really dumb and funny. Forget that bit though.
You probably can. If I could do it. Nah, I don't know.
Yeah, just like a lot of explosions, a lot of like, yeah. Forget that though. What was my other point? What was I gonna say? That like when you're giving way too much to somebody else, you can't give enough to yourself. Oh, yeah. There was something else though. There was like some more nuance to it. I forgot it. It's fine now.
It's fine. If you remember, just pull it up. I'll bring it up. But yeah, it's just a matter of managing your emotions into what has helped you the most.
Oh, right. The bit about attention. And so I guess they look for a lot of people look for, when they simp, they expect a return for attention. I think attention is what really they thrive off of. They want to be, thanked and like, oh, you're the best because you gave me this, basically. A lot of thanks for that one thing.
Yeah.
You can't live off of thanks. It just doesn't work like that. It's not something corporeal.
Thanks doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks doesn't pay the bills. Like, what are you expecting? Thanks isn't going to pay the bills. Sorry, you can't buy anything with that. That's not. Yeah, exactly.
It's to feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't appreciate themselves.
Yeah. And so
hardest lesson to learn, but life gets so much better.
Sounds very mean and cruel when I say it, but life gets so much better when you stop relying on other people. I think.
Yeah.
Life gets so much better. Like, search from within, and figure out, or at least what I did is I was simping, right? And I was like, what's going on here? So I said, I'm simping. Why? Because I feel like because I want this. Why do I want this? Because I want to feel appreciated. Why do I want to feel appreciated by these people? Because I feel like they don't appreciate me. Why do you feel like they don't appreciate me? Because maybe I don't appreciate myself. Yeah. Well, why do you not appreciate yourself? Wait, why do I not appreciate myself?
And that's like a huge
and you work reverse.
Yeah. And I think the best part about that is that, like, if you take the right journey, I feel like a journey similar to the one that you're on, you end up reevaluating yourself, and you end up you figure out what you need, and that makes you independent, and that actually ends up giving you what you want. Because if you're independent and you have all those needs met, you're gonna end up finding somebody else who's more independent. Like
exactly.
close to like, right? And so I think a lot of dependent partners and dependent couples end up together because of that nature, because they're looking for somebody else to meet their needs. And so
it's never what can I do for you? It's what can you do
but
for
then
me?
once you're independent, right, you will find somebody who's also independent but willing to spend time on you.
Yeah.
But not enough to like destroy themselves. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's really cool though, how you basically embody that path of like, you end up in one state, in one end of the spectrum, more like at day 0, you're that one person who's simping, right? But then as time passes, you're figuring out what you need and giving it to yourself to end up as a better person, and you end up getting what you want in that regard.
And you've definitely like had a journey with that too, I think, in a different way. You've been in more of the giver way, actually. This is interesting because I feel like I had the more simple way I described, and you had the more simple way you described, by giving a lot of energy to people who obviously didn't give it back. And you had your own kind of journey realizing your worth there. And it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be giving too much to these people if they're not going to reciprocate that energy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting. So we both thought we were simps, right? But like in different ways.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I actually ever like encountered or like, I don't know if I don't want to say, I don't want to like that. I don't know if I really would call myself a simp, or if I'm like lacking self-awareness there, but I don't think I am. I'm just going to go with that. Yeah. So that's been interesting. And it's nice to know, like, I think a lot of people our age are, especially now, because of quarantine, have to embark on that journey of like figuring out who's really there for them or not. You know, because of quarantine, I feel like they've definitely been forced into considering and reconsidering who's going to be there for them because of the limited interaction we have now.
Exactly. And that's why I could confidently say quarantine changed my life in a positive way, or gave me the stepping stones that I needed to produce and create what I needed to create.
Totally. And, I'm really glad to say the same, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have had a lot worse time because of this. Dude, like, seriously, after, like, as I've been thinking about quarantine, it's really good for us, especially based on where we live and, the resources we have access to, because there are people in abusive relationships, people without homes, people, like I said, like that are facing abusers and stuff like that. People with uncertain living situations, people, a lot more at risk and stuff like that, that aren't in a good place to lock down right now, but yet they have to. I'm just thankful for what I have now. I think one of the best things that this time has brought me, that, nothing is certain. So be happy, really be sincerely happy for what you have.
Yeah, I get you. 100% with that. Just life is too complicated, and the best way you can kind of get through it is making yourself the most consistent to yourself as possible.
Actually, sort of relating to that a bit more, it's kind of learning how to spend your time and learning how to focus your time on what you want to see grown. So I think in one regard, that's like, I guess, trying not to watch the news as much, and also like focusing on the people that are putting their lives on the line to stop the virus. You know what I mean? Like the doctors and nurses out there that are just giving their best, as opposed to like focusing on the masses of people and getting really frustrated about that. Because I can say that I've done that, certainly. So the next question that we kind of had, or that I guess I'll propose it to you, but it's kind of going to go to both of us anyways. What we hope to add to this, or what are the next steps for the podcast? What do you think?
I think that the next steps for this podcast is we want to branch this into something, just refine all the skills that we can. So make this more interactive, collaborative, etc. Just find your brand more and be more confident with that. And I think that's just going to come with more practice. That's why we have a pilot season. And we might start some more media plans. Like we have some plans to do more media-based content that's not podcasts on this channel. Yeah. And we're very excited for that. Personally, I feel like for my personal plans, I want to just inspire people the way I was inspired. And I want to make sure people understand these ideas of doing something and being self-aware with themselves and being real with themselves and that kind of stuff, because that can, in the end, amount to a lot. So just that means a lot to me, and making that mark on people is what I value a lot. That's for me. That's
and I think for me it's been pretty good, but I think I hope that like in the future I'll be able to add more like experience and richness to this. You know what I mean? Because I think as it stands, I haven't experienced that much. And so I hope that, I guess, through this and through our plans of expanding, that we'll be able to like have more perspectives so that we could both grow as well. You know, so it kind of works both ways, hopefully. And so definitely expanding into other sorts of media. And I think we're already starting to we've definitely found our flow with these. So it's going to be a challenge to kind of maintain that momentum, but kind of turn it into something different as you know, plans change and school years start and stuff like that.
But just maintain the consistency with this podcast, the consistency and the emotion, the energy that we provide, but at the same time, bringing up these kind of topics.
Adding something onto that too is making sure that our community is strong as well, because obviously, you know, with every successful, I guess, artist or platform or group, whatever it is, they have a strong community to back them. So hopefully, in, I guess, letting out our energy, letting our vibe, we're still continuing to find people to follow us that will support us, whether it be by liking and subscribing, of course, but, you know, also interacting with us, teaching us things, etc., etc.
Yeah.
That's
it's a bittersweet goodbye for people involved, but I feel like it's important.
It's not like a goodbye. It's not like a nail.
It's not a goodbye.
That's it. Yeah.
Y'all are gonna see plenty of us throughout, regardless.
So this is definitely the closing on the first season, the chapter, the, I guess, episode of our lives. So
this is okay. I'm gonna just say it obviously. This is the last episode of season 1. So it's a finale, and we wanted to. It's a little bit low key, but I feel like it's important. And when you hear back from us, we'll be stronger than ever.
Always.
No. I'm just joking. We're not gonna end it like that. That was way too like out of nowhere. We have to lead into that first of all. But like, thank you so much to everyone who supported this podcast from episode 1 to episode 8. It's so close. It was so close to not happening.
7 there.
And it happened, and I can confidently say this helped me communicate myself more. This helped me express my opinions and feelings more. And I'm happy that it came out how it came out.
Same here. And it certainly kept me, I guess, sane throughout these times, to have something to work on, to be producing something that's illuminating to other people. So, it's been
like every time,
we
ended on the words
always.